In May 1968, an idea was proposed which echoed the plot of 1962's The Manchurian Candidate, wherein a Chinese intelligence hypnotist brainwashed an American POW to assassinate a U.S. candidate for president. The idea would be to find a Palestinian prisoner who could easily be brainwashed, hypnotized, and programmed to kill. His code name? Fatki. For 3 months, psychologist Benjamin Shalit worked on Fatki. The goal? To kill Yasser Arafat, and it almost worked until Fatki turned himself in Jordan, saying Israeli intelligence tried brainwashing him to kill Yasser Arafat. This is accounted in Ronan Bergman's 2018 Rise and Kill First: The Secret History of Israel's Targeted Assassinations. That same year in Los Angeles, Senator Robert F. Kennedy was gunned down in the pantry of the Ambassador Hotel. Jerusalem-born Palestinian Jordanian 24-year-old Sirhan Sirhan was charged, convicted, and is still serving his sentence in that killing of RFK. And to this day, he claims not to remember firing upon RFK on June 5th, 1968. Like Faki, was Sirhan programmed? To look more into this, let us meet Dr. William J. Bryan. In 1955, Bryan founded the American Institute of Hypnosis. He published Religious Aspects of Hypnosis in 1962, the same year as Frankenheimer's film version of Richard Condon's novel, The Manchurian Candidate. Bryan claimed to be a consultant on the film, though his involvement is unverified. In her article Manchurian Candidates, Forensic Hypnosis in the Cold War, Dr. Allison Winter posited Bryan, after his work as a military psychiatrist during World War II, joined the OSS before becoming involved in MK Ultra, honing what Bryan called, quote, hypno conditioning. Bryan was certain communist countries achieved advanced psychological warfare tactics, quote, far more dangerous than the atom bomb, he said. Bryan specialized in legal hypnosis. He was hired by F. Lee Bailey as a consultant on the successful prosecution of Albert DeSalvo, the Boston Strangler. In his book Project Artichoke, David M. Sylvie expounds on a relationship between FBN agent George Hunter White and Bryan regarding the infamous Zodiac killings. What is even more intriguing is Bryan's purported identification with the Old Catholic Church and association with Dave Ferry, according to researchers Duffy and Parker, as cited in H.P. Albarelli's book A Secret Order. Whether such a connection is true, Bryan's book, The Religious Aspects of Hypnosis, draws fascinating parallels between the act of praying to God, Great Spirit, and hypnotic trance. Peter Evans, author of Nemesis, suggested William J. Bryan hypnotized Sirhan Sirhan prior to the shooting of RFK. Sirhan made mention of Franz Mesmer while in prison before his murder trial. The key defense witness at Sirhan's trial, Berkeley Law and Psychiatry professor Dr. Bernard L. Diamond, believed Sirhan hypnotized himself prior to the shooting of RFK. Diamond said, quote, I see Sirhan as small and helpless, pitifully ill, with a demented psychotic rage, out of control of his own consciousness and his own actions, subject to bizarre, disassociated trances, in some of which he programmed himself to be the instrument of assassination. And then, in an almost accidentally inducted twilight state, he actually executed the crime, knowing next to nothing about what was happening. Sirhan worked as a stable boy at Santa Anita Racetrack with ambitions to become a jockey. In 1966, a morning horseback riding accident at Graja Vista del Rio in Corona, California, ended those dreams. But that wasn't Sirhan's only connection with the equine industry. An overlooked figure in the Sirhan case is Reverend Jerry Owen, nicknamed the Walking Bible, for his savant-like ability to quote any verse of the Bible. By 1968, according to authors Turner and Christian, he was, quote, giving free pony rides to children who promised to memorize a Bible verse and attend church on Sunday. Owen was running Wild Bill's stables in Santa Ana. He told police he randomly picked up a hitchhiking Sirhan Sirhan in Los Angeles the day before the California primary, and that was the extent of his interaction. During Sirhan's trial, however, witnesses testified that Owen did know Sirhan well before. One testified seeing Owen and Sirhan riding horses on the Santa Ana River levees weeks earlier. In 1966, Sirhan became a member of the Rosicrucian order, namely the ninth degree of the Grand Lodge. Diamond suggested Sirhan's ability to put himself into a self-induced trance was motivated by his association with the Rosicrucians. H. Spencer Lewis writes in the Rosicrucian book, The Mystical Life of Jesus, quote, Jesus was born of Gentile parents through whose veins flowed Aryan blood, and in whose hearts and minds had been implanted the teachings of the Essen Brotherhood, as well as the more secret teachings of the Great White Brotherhood. The Rosicrucian Order is the chief channel for the dissemination of the secret doctrines and teachings of the masters of the Great White Brotherhood. Helena Blavatsky was able to communicate with these perfected entities, the masters, as described in her book Isis Unveiled. Sirhan asked for two books in prison: The Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky and Talks on at the Feet of the Master by Charles Webster C.W. Leadbeater, a Blavatsky disciple whom Blavatsky personally converted to theosophy. Leadbeater, a co-Freemason, claimed to be a clairvoyant, able to contact the masters on the astral plane, and fancied himself senior knight of the Round Table. He was the author of an additional number of books: The Hidden Life in Freemasonry, Spiritualism and Theosophy, and The Science of the Sacraments. Leadbeater penned this book when he was Legionary Bishop of the Liberal Catholic Church for Australasia. Leadbeater was made bishop in this church by one James Ingle Wedgwood, who, according to Peter Anson, managed to combine traditional doctrines of the Old Catholic Church with co-Masonry, Rosicrucianism, and Theosophy. In a letter to the leading theosophist of the day, Annie Besant, Leadbeater wrote, "Wedgwood desires most earnestly to offer the Old Catholic movement to the world teacher as one of the vehicles for his force and a channel for the preparation of his coming. I took him therefore to the Lord Matria at the festival, Asala, the occult festival, and he was graciously pleased to accept the offer and to say that he thought the movement would fill a niche in the scheme and would be useful to him. With his permission, the Lord Matria Wedgwood has consecrated me as a bishop." Along with Besant and Marie Russac, Wedgwood founded the Order of the Temple of the Rosy Cross. Once the order broke up, Russac became involved in the ancient mystical order Rosicrucius AMORC, the Rosicrucian organization of which Sirhan Sirhan joined in 1966.